Ah, my dear friend, you know me well enough by now to realize I'm not the type of man to keep secrets bottled up. At 80 years old, I've learned that life is too short for that. If something has kept me feeling alive, vibrant, and even a little mischievous at this age, I want to share it. After all, what good is wisdom if you keep it buried? So today, I want to take you deep into one of the oddest, simplest, and most surprisingly effective habits I've picked up: using baking soda to boost circulation and keep intimacy alive after 60. Now, don't laugh too hard. Yes, I know you're tempted. You're probably thinking, Paul, how in the world could the same thing I use to make biscuits rise or to scrub my bathroom tiles possibly help with circulation and intimacy? And that's exactly what I thought the first time I came across the idea. I rolled my eyes, muttered something about people on the internet having too much time on their hands, and went on with my day. But as the aches in my legs grew stronger and my energy seemed to be leaking away like air from a balloon, I came back to that strange little tip. And I thought, what's the harm in trying? Let me take you back to when all this started. I was in my mid-60s. My doctor had just told me that my circulation wasn't looking great. My blood pressure was creeping up, my legs were swelling more often, and I was feeling sluggish in ways that frustrated me. Worse still, intimacy, the thing that once made me feel so alive, so connected, wasn't the same. It wasn't just about desire. It was about energy, confidence, and feeling like I could truly share myself with someone. The spirit was willing, but the body, well, it was lagging behind. That hit me harder than I cared to admit, because you see, intimacy isn't just about passion. It's about dignity. It's about being reminded that you're still human, still worthy of touch and closeness, even as the years pile up. And I wasn't ready to let that part of my life slip away. I wanted to look at myself in the mirror and see a man who still had fire left in him, not just a tired old fellow watching the clock. So when I stumbled across the idea of using baking soda to help circulation, I thought, maybe, just maybe, this is worth a shot. I mean, what did I have to lose? A spoonful of powder and a glass of water weren't going to bankrupt me, and if it didn't work, at least I could say I'd tried. The first time I took it, I remember wrinkling my nose. It wasn't exactly delicious. No one's going to mistake baking soda water for champagne. But I told myself, Paul, you've swallowed worse things in life. Keep going. And so I did. Just half a teaspoon in a glass of water. That was it. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated, just a humble kitchen powder and a little faith. The first day, nothing much happened. The second day, I felt about the same. But by the third day, I noticed something. My legs didn't feel as heavy when I got up from my chair. I could walk a little longer without needing to sit down. My breathing seemed easier. It was subtle, but it was there. And I thought to myself, well, isn't this something? A few weeks later, I noticed something even more surprising. One evening, sitting with my partner at the time, I felt a spark I hadn't felt in years. My heart was beating steady, my body was responding, and I wasn't weighed down by that heavy sluggishness. I'll spare you the details, but let's just say we both went to bed that night smiling like a couple of teenagers sneaking back after curfew. At 80, I can laugh about it now, but at the time, it felt like I'd been given a piece of my life back. Now, friend, let me be clear. I'm not saying baking soda is some magical potion that'll solve every problem. It's not a miracle cure, but it can help balance the body's pH, reduce acid, and support better circulation. And when blood flow improves, everything improves. Your energy, your mood, your vitality, and yes, your intimacy. Because intimacy, as I said before, is not just about what happens in the bedroom. It's about feeling alive enough to reach for someone's hand, to laugh with them, to share yourself fully. It's about the blood flowing, the oxygen moving, and your heart staying strong. I can't tell you how many times I've had other seniors laugh at me when I told them about this. "Paul, are you seriously drinking baking soda water like it's medicine?" And I'd grin and reply, "Yes, I am, and I'm feeling better than you are, I." That usually shut 'em up pretty quick, because when you're still moving, still smiling, still enjoying your life at AV, you earn the right to be a little smug about it. Let me tell you a story that might make you chuckle. About 5 years ago, a neighbor of mine, Harold, was complaining about his legs aching all the time. He was younger than me, in his early 70s, but he looked tired, worn out. I told him, "Harold, why don't you try a little baking soda water? It's done wonders for me." He looked at me like I'd told him to bathe in pickle juice. "Baking soda? What am I, a sponge?" he barked. But a week later, he came knocking on my door. "Paul," he said, "I tried that silly drink. I don't know how, but I feel lighter. My wife even noticed." He winked at me, and I knew exactly what he meant. We both laughed like schoolboys caught telling dirty jokes. It wasn't just about feeling younger. It was about feeling capable again. That's the beauty of this little trick. It's cheap, it's simple, and it gives you back something priceless, your confidence. Because confidence is what carries you forward. When your body feels like it's betraying you, it's easy to curl up and give in. But when you find something that helps, even in a small way, you stand a little taller, you smile a little brighter, you feel like yourself again. Now, let's talk a little about the science. Not too heavy, I promise. Baking soda, or sodium bicarbonate, helps reduce acid in the body. When your body's too acidic, your blood vessels can stiffen, your circulation can slow down, and your energy drops. But when things are more balanced, your blood flows easier, your oxygen delivery improves, and suddenly you've got that spark back. Athletes have used it for years to delay fatigue, and if it works for them, why shouldn't it work for us seniors who need a little extra help getting through the day? But let me stress this again. Moderation is key. Too much baking soda can upset your stomach or mess with your body's balance. That's why I only use half a teaspoon in water, and not every single day. It's about giving your body a gentle nudge, not a shove. And I always listen to my body. If I feel good, I keep it up. If I feel off, I slow down. Simple as that. Friend, I can see that look on your face. You're thinking, "Paul, this all sounds too good to be true," and I don't blame you. We live in a world where everyone's trying to sell us something. Expensive supplements, miracle cures, magic pills. I've tried some of those myself, only to end up disappointed. But baking soda? It's been sitting in our kitchens all along, waiting for us to take it seriously. And the best part is, it costs almost nothing. At my age, saving a few pennies matters. I'd rather spend my money on spoiling my grandkids or buying a good steak. Now let me pause here for a moment. If you've been listening closely and maybe even smiling at some of these stories, do me a favor. If you're watching this on YouTube, take a second to like this video, leave me a comment about your own experiences, and subscribe to the channel. It may seem like a small thing, but it helps me keep sharing these lessons with you. And honestly, it makes this old man feel good knowing he's not talking into the void. So go on, tap that button, and let's keep this conversation going. Back to our story. One of the biggest surprises I found when I started using baking soda this way was how much it affected my mood. You see, when your circulation is poor, your energy is low. And when your energy is low, everything feels heavier. Your thoughts, your emotions, your entire outlook on life. But when I felt my body lighten up, when the blood was flowing better, I noticed my mood lifting too. I laughed more easily, I teased my grandkids with more energy, I even caught myself whistling while I worked in the garden, something I hadn't done in years. And of course, intimacy became easier. Let me tell you something funny. One evening, I was feeling particularly energetic. I reached for my partner's hand, gave her that old mischievous grin, and she raised her eyebrows like she couldn't believe I still had it in me. "Paul, what's gotten into you?" And I leaned in and whispered, "Just a little baking soda, my dear." She laughed so hard she nearly fell off the couch. But later that night, she wasn't laughing. She was smiling in a very different way. That memory still makes me chuckle. Who knew the secret to keeping romance alive could be hiding in the kitchen cupboard? Now, don't get me wrong, baking soda alone isn't enough. You gotta move your body, you gotta eat decently, you gotta take care of yourself. I walk every day, even if it's just around the block. I stretch, I breathe deeply, I laugh often. All those things keep the blood moving, but baking soda gives me that little extra boost, that edge that makes everything easier. It's like greasing the wheels of an old bicycle. The ride just feels smoother. I'll also tell you this, intimacy after 60 is different. It's not about wild passion like when we were young. It's about closeness, tenderness, and feeling connected. But you still need the energy, the circulation, the confidence. Without those, intimacy becomes a memory instead of a living reality. And that's why I'm grateful for every small thing that keeps me alive in that way, even something as humble as baking soda. Friend, I've gone on quite a bit, but that's because I believe this matters. Too many seniors give up too soon. They think aging means surrendering to weakness, to loneliness, to a body that doesn't cooperate anymore. But it doesn't have to be that way. With small, simple habits, we can reclaim pieces of ourselves that we thought were gone. We can keep moving, keep laughing, keep loving. And yes, keep feeling that spark of intimacy that reminds us we're still alive. So the next time you walk past that little orange box in your kitchen, don't just think of it as something to freshen your fridge. Think of it as a tool, a friend, a little ally in your fight against aging. Because if it can help an 80-year-old man like me feel vibrant and alive, it certainly can help you too. And this, my dear friend, is just the beginning of what I've discovered about keeping the blood flowing and the heart glowing even after 60. There's more to tell, more stories, more science, more laughs, but I'll save that for the next part, because you know me, I can talk for hours, and I want you to stay with me every step of the way. You know, as I sit here telling you this, I can almost hear my younger self laughing at me. If you'd told 20-year-old Paul that one day he'd be singing the praises of baking soda like it was some secret treasure, I would have thought you'd lost your marbles. Back then, I thought vitality was endless, like the rivers that never stop flowing. But now, at 80, I understand the truth. Rivers dry up if you don't care for their source. And our source, friend, is how we treat our body and mind every single day. Now, let me tell you what happened as I kept using baking soda water on and off. At first, I treated it almost like an experiment. Half a teaspoon in a glass of water every few days. Nothing extreme. I didn't expect miracles. I'm too old to believe in those. But I paid attention to how I felt. And over time, I noticed my circulation improving steadily. My hands and feet, which used to feel like ice blocks in the winter, weren't as cold. My legs didn't cramp up as badly at night. And perhaps the best part, I had more stamina for life. Not just walking or gardening, but those private moments where stamina really counts, if you catch my meaning. One evening, I was sitting with an old friend of mine, George. He's just a couple of years younger than me, 78 at the time. We were playing cards, sipping on tea, and grumbling about our aches and pains like two old men usually do. I told him about my baking soda trick. He laughed so hard I thought he'd choke on his biscuit. "Paul," he said, "you're telling me your little romance revival comes from baking soda? What's next? Lemon juice for eternal youth?" I just grinned and said, "Laugh all you want, but ask my lady friend if she's laughing." A week later, George came back sheepish, saying he'd tried it. And just like Harold, he felt a difference. His legs were lighter, his mood better, and yes, he hinted that his wife was quite pleased. We laughed until our bellies hurt, two old fools giggling over kitchen magic. Now, you might wonder, why does this matter so much to me? Why am I so passionate about it? I'll tell you why. Because Aging has a way of stealing little pieces of dignity from you. It creeps up quietly, and one day you realize you're not as strong, not as quick, not as steady. That can be discouraging. But then something small comes along, something that helps you reclaim a little of what you've lost. That's worth shouting about, because it's not just about the body, it's about the spirit. When your circulation improves, your energy returns, and your spirit lifts with it. And when your spirit lifts, you live better, love deeper, and laugh louder. That's the real treasure. Now let me get a little more personal with you, since you're a close friend and you know I don't mind sharing. When I first realized that intimacy was becoming difficult in my 60s, I felt embarrassed. I didn't want to talk about it, not even with my doctor. I thought it was just the natural curse of aging, something to accept. But it gnawed at me. I missed the closeness, the tenderness, the feeling of being alive in that way. When baking soda helped me regain some of that, I felt like I'd been handed a second chance, not to relive my 20s, but to experience intimacy in a way that suited my age, slower, softer, but still passionate. And it reminded me that no matter how old we get, we deserve love and connection. Now, let me give you a little scene from my life. Picture this. I'm in the kitchen, mixing up my little baking soda drink. My granddaughter walks in and asks me, "Grandpa, what's that?" I tell her it's my secret potion for staying young. She laughs and says, "Grandpa, that's just baking soda. You're not fooling anyone." I wink at her and say, "Well, maybe not, but it works." She rolls her eyes, but one day she'll understand. Sometimes the simplest habits carry the deepest wisdom. Now I know there are skeptics out there, people who say, "Paul, that's nonsense. Circulation comes from exercise and diet, not some powder and water." And they're partly right. Exercise and diet are crucial, but why not add a little something extra if it helps? Life isn't about doing just one thing right. It's about weaving together small habits that add up to something big. That's the secret of longevity, if you ask me. Not chasing one miracle, but stacking up little wins every day until they become a mountain of vitality. Speaking of diet, let me tell you another piece of the puzzle. While baking soda helps, I've also made changes to what I eat. More fruits, more vegetables, less heavy fried foods. I still love a good steak now and then, but I balance it out. And I drink more water. Hydration keeps the blood flowing too. Combine that with baking soda, and it feels like I've found a rhythm that suits my old body well. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. Now, let me pause again for those of you listening in. If you've gotten this far, if you're nodding along, maybe smiling at my stories, then you're part of this little circle of wisdom we're building together. Do me a kindness, like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so we can keep walking this road together. Your support means the world, and it keeps me going, knowing these old bones of mine are still useful for something. Now, back to our journey. Over the years, I've realized that circulation and intimacy aren't just physical, they're emotional too. When your blood is flowing well, your heart feels lighter, and that makes you more open to connection. I've noticed that when I feel better physically, I reach out to people more. I call my friends, I hug my family, and I even strike up conversations with strangers at the park. It's like the river of life is flowing again, and I don't want to miss a single drop of it. Now, friend, let me share a little wisdom from an old man's heart. Don't ever underestimate the power of touch. Even if intimacy in the traditional sense isn't what it used to be, holding hands, hugging, resting your head on someone's shoulder, these things matter more than we admit. And good circulation makes them easier. Because when your body feels alive, your heart feels safe to open. And when your heart is open, life feels fuller. One of my favorite memories from the past decade is sitting on the porch with my partner watching the sunset. We weren't doing anything special, just sipping tea and holding hands. But in that moment, I felt more connected, more intimate than I had in years. And I know part of the reason I could sit there comfortably without my legs cramping or my chest feeling heavy was because I'd taken better care of my circulation. It may sound silly, but that little glass of baking soda water played its part in making that evening perfect. And let me tell you something else. I sleep better now. Before, I'd toss and turn, my legs twitching, my body restless. But after supporting my circulation this way, I find myself drifting off more easily. And you know what good sleep does? It restores everything. It makes you more energetic, more joyful, more ready to embrace life. That's another hidden gift of this simple practice. Now, before I finish, I want to leave you with this thought. We live in a world that's always chasing the newest, fanciest solution, but sometimes the real answers are hiding in plain sight. Baking soda is one of those humble helpers. It's not glamorous, it's not expensive, but it works. And in a way, that's a lesson for life itself. Don't overlook the simple things. Don't dismiss the small habits. They're often the ones that make the biggest difference. So my dear friend, if you ever find yourself doubting whether you can still feel alive, still feel intimate, still feel like yourself after 60, remember my story. Remember this old 80-year-old man sitting here, smiling, grateful for every extra moment of vitality, thanks in part to a powder most people forget about. And remember that you too can find your spark again. It may not be in baking soda for you. It may be in walk-in, in laughter, in music, in love, but it's there, waiting for you to claim it. And if you ever feel like giving up, just think of me. Picture this old fella raising his glass of cloudy baking soda water, grinning like a fool, and saying, "Here's to life, to love, and to never giving up." Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Staying alive, staying connected, and squeezing every drop of joy out of the years we're given. So go ahead, friend, try it. Half a teaspoon, a glass of water, and an open heart. Let the blood flow, let the laughter return, and let intimacy be your reminder that life is still beautiful at any age.